a little bit. All right. Good morning, everyone. Take two. I'm Carrie Miller. I'm the Manitowoc County Youth Apprenticeship Coordinator, as well as the Inspire Wisconsin Coordinator for the county. Today, we are going to introduce Paul Kroc with the Manitowoc Police Department, and he is going to share a lot about his career with us. So, Paul, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Carrie. How long do I have? I thought it said 10 minutes, but I'm the only one here. I thought fire department was going to be here. Is that not the case?
Nope, you actually have a half hour, so go to town.
All right. Okay. So thanks for that introduction. My name is Paul Kroc. I'm a sergeant with the Manitowoc Police Department. I've been here for almost 15 years, 15 years next month. My current role is I do a lot of community outreach, presentations, things like this. So I started my career back in 2007 as a patrol officer on third shift. That is where most of our police officers start, is on patrol. I know a lot of people that are interested in law enforcement. They want to be a detective or a canine officer, things like that. But typically where you're going to start is on patrol and kind of work your way up to those different areas of expertise. So with that being said, I will go ahead and start our presentation here. Try and remember how to do the screen share. Let's see. All right, can you guys see that? You see that, Carrie?
Yes, we can. It's in, if you want to put it in presentation mode, that'd be great.
Yeah, is it now?
No, we can see the side slides, but that's all right. Just run with it.
There we go. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like everybody here is in high school, so you may be thinking of potentially a career in law enforcement. So in order to start a career or get hired as a police officer, you obviously need a high school diploma. That's step one. From there, you need at least 60 college credits, and that can be credits in anything. It could be at LTC, it could be at UW Manitowoc, UW Green Bay, whatever the case is, and that can be in any subject matter. So it doesn't have to necessarily be criminal justice classes, things like that. You know, we have people that have different majors in maybe geography or communication or business, things like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be criminal justice. You know, maybe you start going to school for a couple years, and then decide, hey, you know, maybe law enforcement is a career I want to explore. You don't necessarily have to have a bunch of credits in criminal justice, you know, criminal justice subject matter. So once you have that 60 college credits, you could either be hired by a police department. So you put in an application, they hire you, and they put you in a police academy. Or once you have 60 college credits, you could put yourself in a police academy and then get hired later on in that process. The advantage of being hired and the police department putting you through the police academy is that they do pay for a good portion of that. So that's probably the most desired route to go. But if not, the other option works just as well. In order to be a police officer, you have to have the ability to possess a firearm. As a police officer, we carry all sorts of equipment. I know you can't see it now, but some of that equipment, obviously, we have a firearm on our duty belt, and then we also have a rifle in our squad cars. So in order to possess a firearm, you can't have any felony convictions or any domestic violence convictions. So if you have one of those two things, you're probably not going to be able to be a police officer in the state of Wisconsin. Driver's license, obviously we drive patrol cars, so you have to have a good driving record. You have to have a driver's license, good physical condition, and be a United States citizen. So those are some of the basic job requirements. The Law Enforcement Recruit Academy, it's now up to 720 hours. that seems to get increased every few years. I think when I went through, it was only 510 hours, 520 hours. So it definitely has increased over the last few years. So that lasts, it's about a semester long, 18 weeks. So you might start in August and finish up in December. So you have those 60 college credits, you go to the Law Enforcement Recruit Academy, 720 hours. And they basically train you everything you need to know to be a police officer in that Recruit Academy. So like I explained earlier, if you have a degree in, geography or business, whatever the case might be, that's why that doesn't matter, because this Recruit Academy, 720 hours, they're going to teach you everything you need to know. Even if you've never handled a gun before, firearms, I mean, they're going to train you on how to do that. We got defensive and arrest tactics, emergency driving. Obviously, when we're driving patrol cars, we have to do it safely. We don't want to endanger other people that are on the road. So we got to know how to do that. Professional communication, traffic contacts, how to do traffic stops, things like that. Report writing and cultural diversity. So they basically teach you everything you need to know from the ground up. So if you don't know the first thing about law enforcement or police work, they're going to teach you everything you need to know. So that takes place in that 720-hour Law Enforcement Recruit Academy, which is basically a fancy word of saying Police Academy. All right, so after you have that Recruit Academy, or maybe even before, you're going to apply to police departments of your choice, hopefully the Manitowoc Police Department. We're definitely hiring now, so I know you guys are only in high school, but something to consider down the road. You're going to need a resume, fill out an application online. From there, if everything looks good, you'll be invited to take our written exam. So that takes, hour or two for the written exam. You do well on that. We invite you to some oral interviews. There's obviously going to be a background check. We might get in touch with previous employers, reference checks, things like that. All part of the background check, driving record, criminal record, things like that. Is a fitness assessment. It's not real stringent. Most of that is taken care of in the police academy. They do a physical fitness component. So typically you are going to be in pretty good shape already. But we do have a medical exam where they have you go in after you're given a conditional job offer. Just make sure you're able to bend down, pick things up, things like that. So pretty basic. Then there's also a psychological exam as well. All right, additional job requirements. We got all sorts of law enforcement equipment. Again, we got firearms, handcuffs, baton, things like that, taser, just to name a few. So all that law enforcement equipment, you got to be familiar with how to use it. And again, they teach you that in the police academy. They also teach you some of the state laws, federal laws, things like that in the police academy. So, you get a good working knowledge of that. Written and verbal communication skills are probably one of the biggest ones that we like people to have that are interested in going into law enforcement. Obviously, you're dealing with people that are, in stressful situations. So being able to communicate well with those people, kind of de-escalate, get them to calm down, work through it. Obviously, that's very important. And then the written communication skills. Almost every citizen contact that we have, it does require some type of documentation from a full-fledged police report, or maybe just a short narrative that, hey, I dealt with this person on this date. They needed help with maybe, getting a tenant, out of their apartment or something along those lines. So everything's going to require a little bit of written communication, just kind of what you did, how you did it, and this was the end result, just so we do have some type of record for that. Obviously, we like people that can multitask. There's kind of a lot going on, in the squad car, things like that. You might have to turn the lights and sirens on while you're and then talk on the radio while you're looking at a computer screen in a squad car, things like that. So just being able to do a couple things at once and to do it safely are obviously very important. And then as a police officer, we drive around in the squad car alone, but majority of the calls that we go on, you are there with another officer. So it is important to work well with others, kind of that team aspect. Even though you're in that squad car alone, you're typically going to go to each call with another person. You're going to work on a particular shift with 10 other officers. So you need to be able to get along with others. Job responsibilities, pretty obvious: protection of life and property, in that order. We're going to respond to car accidents where maybe somebody's hurt, or maybe somebody vandalized somebody's property, things like that. So you have to be able to kind of know how to prioritize that. If we have some damaged property that can wait till later, obviously we're going to want to take care of the car accident where somebody's injured first. So just common sense stuff like that. And again, you got to be able to talk to victims, witnesses, suspects, whatever the case might be. Pretty much every call that you go on, you're going to be talking to someone in some capacity. It could be a victim of a crime, maybe their property got vandalized, and then maybe they have a suspect in mind. Say, hey, this person, we got in an argument. They said they were going to spray paint the side of my garage, and now there's spray paint on the garage. So you're going to have to take that statement from the victim. Then you might have to go interview the potential suspect, and then maybe see if there are any witnesses. Maybe a neighbor saw somebody do this. So you have to be able to talk to people in all types of different circumstances. All right, so those are some of the job requirements, how to get hired. Once you're hired by a police department, we then put you through our own training. So a lot of training involved. You have that police academy, and then training for a specific police department. So if you get hired by Manitowoc or Two Rivers or Green Bay, they are going to have some type of training specific to their police department. And that kind of just incorporates how they do things. So Manitowoc Police Department might handle a dog bite differently than Green Bay Police Department does. So that's going to kind of teach you how to do that process. The way that works is you spend 4 weeks on each shift. So you typically start on first shift, then go to either second or third shift for 4 weeks, go through those different training, those different tasks that you have. Once you successfully complete that training on each shift, you then move on to the next shift. All right, so patrol, again, this is where our officers are going to start out once they're first hired. They go through that field training process. Then they go out on patrol on their own. We work 8-hour shifts here. I know some police departments might work 12-hour shifts. Ours are 8. We have a first shift, second shift, and third shift. Hopefully you can see the times there on the screen. Day shift starts at 7, second shift is the afternoon, and then third shift is our overnight shift. In our working schedule, we work 5 days, have 2 days off, work 5 days, and have 3 days off. So our schedule constantly rotates, but we do have ability to view our schedule for that. So it's 2022. In September of 2021, I would know every day that I'm working the following year in 2022. So you know your schedule quite a bit ahead of time. We do get vacation, holidays, comp time, things like that. So that's one of the nice things about our job. Being that it is typically a little more stressful, we do get quite a few days off. So you can see there we work 5 days, and every other week we have 3 days off, whereas most professions you just get 2 days off on the weekends. So one of the advantages, I guess, of being in law enforcement, you do get that extra day off every other week at our police department. Kind of an offshoot of our patrol division. We got different specialties there. I mentioned the canine officer earlier. We have field training officers. So those are the officers that are going to hire or train newly hired officers. We have bicycle patrol, motorcycle patrol, We have school resource officers. We have one at the high school and then one at each of the middle schools. And then we also have several DARE officers that teach DARE on our police department. And then we also have several officers on the county SWAT team as well. So different things you can get involved in while you're on patrol. Detective Bureau, again, typically you're going to need, it's 5 years of experience at our police department. Other departments might be a little different, but typically you need to be a patrol officer first before becoming a detective or K-9, things like that. So our Detective Bureau, they handle more complex investigations, death investigations, things that kind of span different jurisdictions. So maybe we had a crime occur in Manitowoc, but our suspect lives in Two Rivers, and it's a fairly in-depth investigation. That's something that our Detective Bureau might handle just because it's going to take more time going out into different jurisdictions, things like that. And they obviously have specialty training. We have evidence technicians that are detectives, things like that. So again, something else you could get involved in a little bit further down the road. Some of the equipment that we have, again, I kind of touched on this earlier. We got the squad car, lights, sirens. We have a computer in each squad car, things like that. We have a all digital mugshot and fingerprint machine here at the police department. So if we arrest somebody, take them to jail, it's all computerized. You don't have to mess around with ink, get hands dirty, things like that. We have radar, laser, and LiDAR units that detect speed. We have that in our squad cars that our patrol officers can use, body cameras, and then again, all the gear that we have on our duty belt as well. Patrol officer wages, you start out, that's the monthly rate there, you know, $4,200, and then kind of increases from there. And that could change depending on what is negotiated with the city. Some other job benefits, we have health, vision, dental insurance, not only for yourself, but we also have it for family plans, things like that. So once you get married, have kids, they can go on your insurance. Paid time off, vacation, holidays, comp time. Sick time, we get about a day of sick time every month. And then one of the biggest advantages to law enforcement, I guess, is early retirements. Retirement law enforcement is typically right now in the state of Wisconsin, age 53, which is, I know, probably a long ways out for anybody to think about right now. But it is one of the advantages. Most careers, you're probably going to work till you're about 65. So law enforcement, we do get to retire quite a bit early. So that is one of the benefits. Also, City of Manitowoc does offer continuing education reimbursement. So let's say you get that 60 college credits, you apply, get hired at the Manitowoc Police Department, and decide later on, hey, I want to finish off a 4-year degree, get a bachelor's degree. That is something that we do give out reimbursement for. Disadvantages to the job, obviously it's stressful, it can be dangerous. I'm sure if you turn on the TV, you always see something, you know, involving law enforcement, things like that. So it can be dangerous. We do work nights, weekends, holidays. Obviously in police work, there's got to be somebody here 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So whether it be night shift, Christmas, Thanksgiving, things like that, we still need officers to patrol. So one of the disadvantages is you might have to work some of those holidays, nights and weekends. Paperwork, again, like I stated, almost every citizen contact needs some type of documentation. So there is, you know, that component where we do have to, you know, do a little bit of paperwork, you know, which kind of is what it is, but we need a record of everything that's going on. And then also last disadvantage, you see people during their worst moments. You know, typically when the police get called, it's a lot of times kind of the last resort. You know, either somebody's hurt and needs help. Maybe they've hurt somebody else, things like that. So, you know, that is one of the unfortunate parts. You do see people, you know, kind of bad situations. However, the job is very rewarding. You can see on the screen there, you get to be involved in the community, kind of give back, things like that. So here we got a couple pictures of myself doing some fundraising, doing some presentations for some of the youth in our community, which is one of the definite positives. So we got that going. And that concludes my presentation. Carrie, if we have time, I can play our video. I didn't realize I'd be presenting the whole time today.
That would be great. If you want to work on pulling up, or there you go, you have it. If you want to pull up the video, that would be great.
Sure.
If there are any questions out there, if you want to enter those into the chat, that seems to work best for the school. So feel free to do so. But I think sharing the video is also a great addition.
Yeah. As I can figure out the screen share here. That's always the. All right, so I'm going to play a video here. It's a promotional video for the Manitowoc Police Department. I probably would have played it at the beginning for you had I known I was speaking the whole half hour, which is fine. We'll get her going here. And as Carrie said, if you have questions, type them in there. I'll do my best to answer them. And we'll enjoy the video here. It's about 4 minutes long.
I do what I do every day because I care about this community. I care about where I live and the people who are going to be running this community. I was born and raised in the city of Manitowoc. My grandfather served this community for 34 years before me, and now I take a lot of pride in being able to serve this community like my grandfather before me. The best thing about our city is Lake Michigan. People travel on vacation to see Lake Michigan, and we get to see it every day.
I was born and raised here, and I'm proud today that I still get to serve and protect the community that has given me so much.
The Manitowoc Police Department is a group of 64 sworn officers and about 25 part-time and full-time support staff. Our mission statement is we are committed to providing excellent police service and unrelenting pursuit of justice while maintaining order and securing a safe environment for everyone. Training is very important in law enforcement as things are continuing to change. We're constantly learning, trying to stay current with trends in crime and then technology. We want to make sure the officers are prepared to keep them safe and be able to keep the citizens of Manitowoc safe.
As a patrol officer, I conduct traffic stops. I handle whatever calls happen to come in, whether it's a drug overdose, a missing child, anything like that. I'm from this community. I want to try to keep it safe, keep it cleaned up, try as much as I can, keep the drugs and the crime out of it.
We don't leave any stone unturned. We are going to follow up with that case to the fullest extent that we can. One of the best things about being a detective is being able to call that victim and let them know that we were able to close their case, to give them closure.
The most rewarding part about my job is seeing the small successes in a student's life. When they make a choice and they fight for themselves and they then reap the reward later. To see that evolution happen and to see them mature and become better people within the 3 years that they're here is the most rewarding part of my job.
As a crime prevention sergeant, I work very closely with the community. I do a lot of public presentations and a lot of public speaking. The relationship between the community and the police department is definitely what it's all about. It gives the community a chance to be connected to the police department. I have 5 successful Narcan saves. One stands out to me now. He's going through addiction treatment. He's doing very well. He's been sober since the time that I saved him. So to see that I can actively and actually make a difference in somebody's life is the best reward. That's why I got into policing. That's why I pursued a career in law enforcement. The most rewarding part about my job is being able to hire the best and the brightest police officers and watching those individuals grow and develop into excellent police officers and then helping them achieve all of their career goals throughout their career. Joining the Manitowoc Police Department is a very good move. It is a great department to work for. We have very professional people and a great administration that cares about this community and cares about the officers. It's a good place to work because the chief actually knows your name, probably knows your spouse's name, your kid's name.
I started almost 19 years ago, and I feel like within those 19 years, we've gotten a lot more programs that you can be involved in. There's just a lot of opportunity here.
I've always said that I sometimes don't like my days off because I love what I do during the week. So for me, it's an absolute joy. I don't know what else I would do if I wasn't a police officer, and the career is everything that I've expected, everything I want, and my intentions are to stay for a long time. Moving forward, I want the citizens of Manitowoc to know that we're going to continue to strive to make Manitowoc the safest place possible, and we look forward to working with the community to prevent crime, maintain order, and provide a safe environment for everyone.
All right. So we do have a question for students interested in a public safety career. What can they do in high school to help prepare themselves?
Good question. So we do offer a cadet program here. So if you are interested in law enforcement, that is something that our police department offers. And that'll kind of give you, hands-on training. It's almost like a mini police academy. You meet twice a month. Each lesson, there's different subject matter. So you're going to learn, how to put handcuffs on people, things like that. They got different scenarios that they put you through. So they might have you respond to like a fake domestic violence incident, and you would have to make a decision, whether to arrest somebody, who that person is to arrest, things like that. So there's little scenarios that they go through, and it kind of acclimates you to what it would be like to be a police officer. They do help out volunteering with different events, things like that. And then secondly, we also do offer ride-alongs as well. So if that's something you're interested in, if you're not 18, you just need to have a parent sign that, and you're welcome to do ride-along with our department.
And I will just mention students are also able to go into inspirewi.org, and that is where you could request, whether it be a job shadow. I know Paul has also done virtual career experiences, so he would be in our virtual career library. So there are opportunities to connect not only to the police department, but also to fire and rescue as well in there. Any other questions? I guess, Paul, maybe to finish up, can you just talk a little bit about, you talked about the advantages and disadvantages of the job. Can you talk about what does the department do when, there are those bad days where certain things happen, and, what do they do to kind of combat that stress level?
Sure. So there's a couple different things. If it's a situation where you might have 4 or 5 officers that responded to a traumatic event. They do sometimes do a debriefing. Officers can kind of talk about it, what went well, what went bad, things like that. We do have a facility dog here at the police department. So it's just it's a Bernedoodle, if you know what that is. But it's in the police department here, and, you can spend some time with the dog, things like that. Then we also have a EAP as well. So if you need to talk to somebody, if you're struggling about, anything job related or at home, we do have that available as well.
Great. Any other questions at all? So one last thing, Paul, if you could look back at your 16, 17-year-old self when you were contemplating what you wanted to do as a career, what would you say to these students as a leaving remark here of what they should be doing to plan ahead?
Sure. Yeah, if you really think that, law enforcement's a career you want to get into, I myself, I was always kind of interested in it, didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up, if you will. So I went to UW Milwaukee, eventually started taking some criminal justice classes, found it really interesting. And obviously the rest is history, as they say. But, I kind of looking back, I think, a lot of people at that time, 4-year degrees were kind of being pushed, if you will. So I think, if you are seriously considering law enforcement, I think the 2-year programs are a great way to go about it. I know LTC offers a 2-year program where there's basically that recruit academy built into it. So you go through the academy, and then or you go through that 2 years of school, and the academy's embedded into it. So once you're done with that 2 years of school, you can be hired by a police department. So instead of like myself, for example, it took me 4 years to get through school and then go to the police academy. So we're talking 4.5, 5 years. You could get that done in potentially just 2 years. So it is something that, if you are committed to a career in law enforcement, it might be a great option for you.
Great. And that brings us right to our time to end. So Paul, I want to thank you for your time this morning, sharing your story, and thank you to all the students for participating. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you.